Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to dig into something pretty important, I think, for anyone thinking about education, careers, all that. It's the 2025 ETS Human Progress Report.
Right.
And think of this as, well, you're fast-tracked to understanding how things are changing. Work, learning, it's all shifting.
Yeah, it really is. And this report, it's based on a pretty massive survey.
Oh, yeah.
18,000 people, 18 countries. So it gives a really solid global perspective.
Okay, 18,000 people. Wow. And the big story, the headline, is this major shift, right?
Exactly. We're moving away from those, straight line career paths, predictable stuff.
Yeah, the old ladder idea.
Right. Towards something much more dynamic, fluid even.
Yeah.
And the keys now seem to be adaptability and these power skills the report talks about. Human skills, basically.
Okay, power skills.
Mm-hmm.
And for you listening, especially if you're trying to stay ahead, learn new things, this deep dive is really about pulling out the crucial bits.
Yeah, we want to hit the highlights, those aha moments, without you having to wade through all the data yourself.
So our mission today is to really get a handle on this new shape of progress. Education, careers. What does it all mean for navigating things, now and, well, going forward?
Sounds good.
Okay, let's jump in. So unpacking this report, what were some of the big overarching findings that really struck you first?
Well, on a high level, one encouraging thing is the Human Progress Index itself.
Okay.
It actually went up by more than 2 points globally. It measures things like education access, career growth opportunities.
So progress overall, that sounds positive.
It is. Generally speaking, it suggests we are making some headway in these really fundamental areas of development.
But I imagine it's not the same everywhere. Like, progress isn't uniform across the globe.
Oh, definitely not. That's a key point. While the overall trend is positive, the pace of that progress varies a lot by region.
Right.
Now, the CEO's introduction actually highlighted 5 key sort of actionable insights.
Okay.
And the first one really sets the scene. Skills are basically redefining work. They're the new currency.
The new currency. What does that mean practically for someone looking for a job or trying to move up?
It means there's this growing expectation. The report says over 60% globally think this is coming by 2030.
Okay.
That you'll need verified proof of your skills, maybe through digital wallets, things like that. It's becoming the standard way to show employers what you can do.
So less about just listing your past jobs on a resume.
Exactly. It's shifting towards proving what you can actually do, your capabilities.
Makes sense. Verifiable proof. Okay, what was the second insight that jumped out?
The second one highlights a real concern, especially among younger people, Gen Z in particular.
Yeah.
About 65% of them said they're worried about staying relevant, with technology changing so fast. AI, automation.
Right, that fear of being obsolete. FOBO, they called it.
Yeah, FOBO. Clever term, actually. And it seems to be hitting that generation particularly hard.
Why do you think that is? Is it just because they're entering the workforce now?
Well, partly, maybe. But they've also grown up during this period of just massive technological acceleration. They see how quickly things are changing, how jobs might be disrupted.
Yeah, fair point.
And that ties right into the third insight. Proof really does power advancement.
How so?
The report found 86%, a huge majority, believe that getting their skills formally certified improves their job prospects, helps them move up.
So proving what you know, what you can do, that's seen as the way to combat that FOBO, that anxiety, and secure your future.
Precisely. And the fourth insight builds on that. It's about having a mix of skills. They call them dual skills.
Dual skills, like technical and something else.
Exactly. Nearly 2/3 are looking for credentials in a combination of things. Essential skills like AI literacy, yes, but also problem solving, creativity, communication, alongside technical know-how.
So you can't just be the tech wizard anymore. You need those human skills too.
Absolutely essential. And the fifth key point is this real acceleration in focusing on skill development.
People are actively doing it more.
Yes. Over 80% are thinking about future-proofing their careers, and more than half are already actively learning new skills to stay competitive.
Wow. So that idea of continuous learning, it's not just a buzzword. It's becoming fundamental.
The report really hammers this home. For the second year straight, over 80% agreed that ongoing learning is just essential for success.
Right.
And interestingly, they also pointed to perseverance as a top skill, that grit to just keep learning, keep adapting, even when it's tough.
Perseverance. Okay. So a strong theme of skills, continuous learning, proving what you know. Now, the report also mentioned that some barriers to progress are actually decreasing. Where are we seeing improvements?
Yeah, that's another encouraging part. The index looks at three main factors, and all showed positive movement. First is education access.
Okay. How's that improving?
Mostly through better access to qualified teachers and also education becoming more tailored to individual needs. The actual index score for countries they tracked over time went down, which is good here. It means barriers are lower from 105.3 to 103.4.
That's great. More responsive, more inclusive education. What about upward mobility? Is education actually helping people move up economically and socially?
That also improved. The score went from 109.8 down to 107.9. So yes, it suggests those pathways using education and networks to advance are becoming a bit more accessible. It's not just getting the education, it's where it leads.
Right, the outcome. And the third area was cost, right? The financial side of learning.
Exactly. Upskilling and reskilling affordability. That score dropped too, from 105.1 to 103.5.
What's driving that?
Two main things, it seems. Lower costs for these skill development programs, and also more employers stepping up, investing in training their own people. Makes it easier financially for individuals to get the skills they need.
Okay, so progress on access, mobility, and affordability. That's really positive. Were there specific countries leading the charge?
Oh yeah. Vietnam showed the biggest improvement overall in the index. Huge jump.
Wow, Vietnam.
Yeah. And then following them, the US, Canada, the UK, and Japan also showed really notable improvements. Easier access, mobility, affordability.
Do you have the numbers on those? Just roughly.
Sure. Vietnam's index change was INEX 8.5, which is substantial. The US was Manitic 2.8, Canada Medicus 1.6, UK Manic 2.3, and Japan Garage 2.0. Remember, negative means improvement here, lower barriers.
Got it. So real momentum in those places. Okay, let's talk about those concepts you mentioned, evidential currency and FOBO. Can you break those down a bit more?
Right. So evidential currency, think of it as the increasing value of having hard proof of your skills. Credentials, assessments, things that show what you can do. It's becoming really important currency in a competitive job market.
Tangible proof.
Exactly. And FOBO, as we touched on, fear of being obsolete, that anxiety about your skills getting outdated because tech is moving so fast.
And that's hitting Gen Z hardest.
Yes, 65% of them reported feeling that compared to 60% of the overall workforce. So it's widespread, but definitely more acute for the younger generation.
Makes sense. If things are changing fast, having that evidential currency, that proof, must feel like the antidote to FOBO, a way to stay relevant.
That's exactly the idea. And the report connects this to future skill demands, too. By 2030, skills like interacting with computers, creative thinking, data analysis, external communication demand for those is expected to shoot up.
Okay.
But there's a concerning stat here. In OECD countries, about 18% of adults, and get this, 34% of 15-year-olds, they lack even baseline proficiency in key information processing skills.
Wow, 34% of teens. That's a significant gap we need to bridge if people are going to thrive with these new demands.
It really highlights the challenge. But despite that, the report also found quite a bit of optimism about education and skills development generally.
Oh, really? People are feeling positive.
Yeah, globally, pretty
Wow.
optimistic. 65% feel positive about their chances to upskill right now. And the same number, 65%, think those chances will be even better by 2035.
And higher education.
Similar trend. 59% optimistic now, rising to 64% expecting improvements in the next decade.
Is that optimism spread evenly, or are there regional differences again?
Big differences. Optimism is particularly high in strengthening economies. Think Indonesia, Nigeria, Kenya, Vietnam, China, Saudi Arabia, the UAE. Places seeing rapid growth, maybe more competition driving that feeling.
Possibly. And where is it lower?
More mature economies, Japan, France, Germany. They tend to show lower levels of optimism about future improvements.
Interesting contrast. Maybe more stability means less expectation of dramatic change or improvement?
Could be. And you have to layer on things like McKinsey's projections. They estimate AI could automate up to 27% of jobs in Europe, 30% in the US by 2030.
That's a huge number.
It is. But at the same time, demand for AI skills is projected to jump by 33%. So disruption, but also new opportunity.
And people are responding by getting credentials.
It seems so. 67% overall hold some kind of skills credential now, and that number jumps to 72% for Gen Z. Plus, there's overwhelming support, 88% for the idea of continuous learning.
And are companies getting on board with developing their own people?
It's like it. McKinsey also found executives are planning to retrain about 32% of their current workforce, rather than just hiring externally.
So investing in existing talent.
Yeah. Now, the report is clear that disparities still exist. Gender, geography, disability. they still create barriers to advancement for some.
Right.
But it also strongly suggests that skills credentials can really help level that playing field. And because skills themselves change so fast, it just underlines how crucial lifelong learning systems are becoming.
It really paints this picture of constant learning, constant proving of skills. Let's circle back to the credentials themselves and that idea of perseverance.
Okay, so yeah, 67% hold a credential, Gen Z and millennials leading the way. And that 88% agreement on continuous learning being essential, that's huge.
Definitely.
And importantly, for those facing more barriers, women, people in rural areas, people with disabilities, the report finds these credentials are proving especially effective in reducing those hurdles.
That's powerful.
Hmm.
Using skills verification to create more equity. How is this focus on skills changing how employers actually hire people?
Well, skills-based hiring is really emerging. Companies are using it to tackle labor shortages, but also to handle their own reskilling needs.
So looking at what someone can do, not just their degree or past titles.
Exactly. And this focus on demonstrable skills seems to be making people more optimistic about their own career advancement prospects, too.
Like it feels fairer, maybe more meritocratic.
Possibly. And in terms of which skills are most in demand, technical skills are definitely surging. AI literacy is a big one.
But not just technical skills, right? You mentioned dual skills earlier.
Right. The report stresses that technical skills are most valuable when paired with those durable skills: creativity, communication, problem solving, human stuff.
Okay.
And over 6 in 10 employees say they're interested in getting credentials for these top skills.
Can you give some examples? Like, what's the interest level for AI literacy versus, say, creativity?
Sure. Interest in AI and digital literacy is about 55% globally, but way higher in places like Kenya, South Korea, Nigeria. Creativity is around 46% overall, higher again in Indonesia, Kenya, China. Communication skills, about 34% globally, but more interest in Indonesia, Vietnam, Brazil.
So it varies, but there's strong interest across the board in both the technical and the durable. Okay, let's dig into evidential currency again. Why is it so vital now?
It's becoming essential for a few reasons. One, navigating competition standing out. Two, breaking down those systemic barriers we talked about. And three, just providing that concrete proof of ability.
And it connects back to those index improvements.
Yeah, the better access, mobility, affordability. Evidential currency is how individuals actually use those improvements. It's the key to unlocking those opportunities. You need the recognized proof to walk through those opening doors.
Got it. So the opportunity might be there, but you need the currency, the proof, to take advantage.
Precisely. And this is also pushing people to take more ownership of their growth. Well, employees are actively seeking out these credentials, these assessments. They're taking charge of validating their own skills.
Oh, yeah.
And remember that perseverance skill. 62% overall say they're proficient in it. Even higher in places like Indonesia, Mexico, China, Saudi Arabia, consistent across generations too. It shows this widespread recognition that you need resilience to keep up.
A real sense of agency there.
Yeah.
Okay, that tale of two competencies, technical and durable skills. Why is that blend so critical?
The report basically says success now and in the future depends on combining both. You need the technical skills, like AI literacy, to work with new tools and systems.
Right.
But you need the durable human skills, creativity, critical thinking, communication to innovate, collaborate, solve complex problems. Employees see this too.
What are they prioritizing?
The biggest need they identify for the next 2-3 years is technical skills and AI digital literacy. If you look at the top 3 skills they're focused on, technical is 35%, AI digital literacy 33%, then creativity 26%, problem-solving critical thinking 24%, communication 23%.
So tech skills are definitely top of mind, but those durable ones are right behind.
Exactly. And there are nuances. Gen X and senior roles feel a greater need for technical upskilling. Recent grads often prioritize developing those durable skills first.
Makes sense, different career stages. And what about the credentials people want? What are they looking to get certified in?
Technical skills are number one, 63% want credentials there. But right behind are problem-solving critical thinking, 62%, communication, 61%, creativity, 61%, and AI literacy, digital literacy, 60%. It shows they value proof across that whole spectrum.
Really highlights that desire for verifiable proof for all these key competencies. Now back to equity. How specifically do credentials help those facing more barriers?
Well, the data shows women, rural residents, people with disabilities, they report higher difficulty scores on the index, more challenges.
Yeah.
But here's the crucial part. Having a college degree helps lower those barriers, and having skills credentials helps, but having both, That has the most significant impact in reducing those perceived difficulties for these groups.
So credentials, especially combined with degrees, act as a real equalizer.
That's what the data strongly suggests. Evidential currency isn't just for individual gain, it can foster a more inclusive workforce.
Okay, let's shift perspective a bit. How is the value of skills credentials perceived compared to, say, a traditional college degree? Is that changing?
Big time. The report indicates skills credentials are now seen as a key complement to degrees, and they're even approaching parity in perceived value.
Parity, really?
Yeah, 80%, 4 out of 5 people believe that by 2035, showing proof of new skills will be just as valuable as having a university degree.
Wow. What about employers, HR folks?
Even U.S. HR decision makers agree. 86% see relying only on college degrees as outdated, and 89% think skills credentials effectively bridge the gap between education and what the workforce actually needs.
That's a massive shift from just a decade or two ago. What else are employees looking for now in terms of their value and growth?
They really value personalized skill assessments. 86% say that's important when looking at jobs, and real-time feedback on their skills. 85% want that.
They want to know where they stand.
Exactly. And they want personalized growth paths from their employers. 84% find those essential for staying with the company, but only 35% actually get them right now.
A big gap between desire and reality there. Okay, what about benchmarking? How does knowing how your skills stack up fit in?
Huge interest there, too. 74% of employees want that skill benchmarking. It's even higher for college grads, early mid-career folks, tech workers, and people in those strengthening economies we mentioned.
People want context for their skills.
Right. And 68% believe real-world assessments like practical tasks, not just tests, give a more accurate picture of their abilities. Women actually feel even stronger about that, 71%.
Okay, and micro-credentials, those smaller, focused certifications.
Big potential seen there. 82% believe they'll be valuable for showcasing specific skills. Even higher agreement among millennials, women, grads, and in places like Indonesia, Nigeria, Kenya, Vietnam.
Bite-sized proof. What about managing all these credentials?
Strong interest in digital skills credentials, while at 78% overall like that idea. Younger generations, people in Nigeria, Kenya, Indonesia, college grads, they're particularly keen.
A central place for everything.
Yeah, 81% want a single system to consolidate all their educational and professional experiences and credentials, simplify things.
Makes sense. Okay, AI. We touched on it, but how is it really transforming careers according to the report?
Well, it's a disruptor, changing skill needs for sure, but it's also an enabler. Think AI-powered career coaches, new learning tools.
Are people actually using AI to learn?
Already, yes. 6 in 10 say they've learned new skills from AI, even higher for Gen Z and millennials.
Interesting.
And get this, 4 out of 5 recent grads said they had to update their skills within just 2 years of finishing their studies. And 76% believe AI will create totally new skills that become essential.
Constant adaptation needed. Is
Yeah.
everyone on the same page about AI literacy?
Not quite. There's a gap. Managers tend to think their employees are more AI literate, 55% than employees feel they are, 43%.
Potential disconnect there.
Yeah, which probably explains why 70% of employers want standardized ways to measure AI literacy, especially high interest in Asia and Latin America.
And AI coaches. Do people trust them?
Surprisingly high trust. 70% of employees overall, 75% of millennials say they'd trust an AI coach to help guide their career.
Even blue-collar workers?
Yeah, 53% of blue-collar workers express trust and interest. That signals a real opportunity for more inclusive skill development using AI tools.
Fascinating. Okay, let's tie this all together. Skills for all, evidential currency as a lever for prosperity. What's the big picture on fairness and opportunity?
The report really frames evidential currency as a potential force for good, for equity.
Yeah.
Remember that 86% who believe certifying skills improves job prospects,
Yeah.
and 71% think a skills-first economy would create a fairer job market overall, even higher for women and non-recent grads.
And what about pay?
82% agree that tying compensation to demonstrated skills would create a fairer pay system. Again, especially popular among younger workers, grads, people in scaling economies.
So rewarding ability directly?
Right. And people see personal benefits, too. If skills credentials mattered more, 62% think it would boost their motivation. 60% see more career options, especially in places like Brazil, Nigeria, Kenya. And 66% in middle-income countries think it would improve financial stability.
And student debt.
37% believe an increased value on skills credentials could help reduce student debt burdens.
So potentially broad positive impacts beyond just individual careers. Finally, the report talked about partnerships. Who needs to work together to make this skills-focused future happen?
Collaboration is key. People place high trust in universities, 62%, and official testing organizations, 57%, to provide credible credentials.
So they need to be central players.
Absolutely. They need to integrate skill development much more directly into their programs. But it's bigger than that. The report calls for collaboration between education, employers, and governments.
What kinds of things do they recommend?
Things like establishing national credentialing standards, encouraging partnerships between universities and industry, building centralized platforms for credentials like those digital wallets, investing in AI for skill development and credentialing, supporting clear pathways for marginalized groups, promoting skills-based hiring in government jobs, running public awareness campaigns about evidential currency, and using data to understand labor market needs.
It sounds like a real ecosystem approach is needed, a concerted effort.
Exactly. No single group can do it alone.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on the 2025 ETS Human Progress Report, what's the single most important thing you want our listener to take away?
I think the core message is this profound global shift. We're moving towards valuing skills, this evidential currency, as the main driver. The engine for individual careers, yes, but also for wider societal progress.
And this shift, it has real potential.
Huge potential. Potential to break down old barriers, create a more equitable, more dynamic world of work and learning for everyone.
A fundamental change, really. Okay, so on that note, here's something for you, the listener, to think about. How might this growing focus on skills and verifiable proof reshape your learning journey, your career path? What skills could become your most valuable evidential currency in the coming years?
Good question to ponder.
Definitely. And of course, the full 2025 ETS Human Progress Report has much more detail if you want to explore these trends further. It's definitely worth a look.